Gemini, welcome to your monthly horoscope for March 2026. I'm Adeana. I'm an intuitive astrologer. In these monthly horoscopes, I break the month down by week and I select a chart for each week to give you a bit of a visual. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you align with my energy and enjoy my content. Let's get right into it. So here we go, the first week of March. So the chart that I selected for this demonstration is for March 6th. So I try to get them right in the middle of the week to kind of represent all the energies for the week. So on the second, we have Mars entering Pisces. So you have Pisces in your 10th house of career, public reputation, your legacy, which there's a lot of focus in this area over the last year because you've had the North Node here. So we've had the eclipses in Virgo and Pisces. And when Mars enters the 10th house, we just want to watch for conflict at work. Mars can sometimes separate. So this is around your career and your public reputation. So it's just an energy to be a little bit mindful of. Also, coming into the month, we have Mercury retrograde too up in that 10th house. So just be watching for miscommunications, misunderstandings, especially at work with coworkers, your boss, things along those lines. Once we get to the third, we've got the total lunar eclipse in Virgo at 12 degrees, which is in your fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate. So, what have you been navigating around your home, your family, real estate, what you're doing in your private life behind the scenes, and your 10th house of career, public reputation? This area of life has been going through massive change for over a year. And so, this lunar eclipse in Virgo is going to be bringing in more change. There's something you're moving away from, there's something that you're done with because the South Node represents where we need to let go, release. This is our karmic comfort zone. And so, usually, what eclipses do and the nodes, when they're transiting a certain area of our chart, is they shake us out of our comfort zone in this area where the South Node is to grow and move into the North Node. So, maybe you've been wanting to go back to work for a really long time. And over this last year, there's been a lot of shakeups pushing you to do that. You've been having this urge to like change your career or go back to work or something along those lines. So with this lunar eclipse, there could be more to that story coming in. So again, just think back the last year. What have you been navigating around your home and family? I also have a separate forecast going deep into this energy if you want to check that out. Now, on the 5th, we've got the sun forming a trine to Jupiter. So the sun is going to be in Pisces here in your 10th house, and you have Jupiter here, which is still going to be retrograde at this point, in your second house of money, finances, and material possessions. And so I do love this for financial gains, really positive opportunities around career and money and finances. I love this because Jupiter is at a standstill. We're not getting too much from Jupiter at this time. And Jupiter rules our optimism. And so I always find around Jupiter stations, especially I mean, really, it's station. I find it's worse when Jupiter's getting ready to station direct because we've been dealing with the Jupiter retrograde for months, and then Jupiter's at like a standstill, so we're getting no energy from Jupiter, and we start to feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and that is very much the energy we're in, kind of the first half of March, because Jupiter is going to station direct on the 10th of March, and things will start to feel better afterwards, but up until that point, it's like, we're in this Jupiter retrograde energy and we're just not able to feel that optimism and hope, because that's what Jupiter rules. And so if you are feeling that way, it is going to pass. It's temporary. Um, but I love the sun trine to Jupiter. This could be internal growth, internal wisdom of some kind. It's a water trine. And so we're talking about our emotions, our intuition. It's very spiritual. This will be a great day to really focus on your intuition, your gut feeling. What is that telling you? This entire month, I highly recommend journaling because of the energy that we're in. This is a time where we can receive a lot of really powerful epiphanies, intuitive downloads, especially with the Mercury retrograde in Pisces. So I do recommend that. And this is a day where, yeah, you just what's coming to you, what's going on, and also too, this could be again something going on with your career that is quite positive, but because of the Mercury retrograde, it's like there's still some confusion or lack of clarity as to which direction to move in or what exactly you should do. And I don't recommend implementing anything new or moving forward with anything with that Mercury retrograde, especially to Mercury is your chart ruler. So once we get to the 6th, Venus is going to enter Aries, and you have Aries in your 11th house of friends and friendships, social groups, online connections, social media. So there's Saturn and Neptune here now, which is a new energy we're all navigating. And then we've got Venus entering the 11th house. And so maybe you're deciding to focus more on friends, develop some more online connections, whatever the case is. Maybe you're deciding to, maybe you're feeling pulled to certain groups, maybe spiritual groups or whatever your niche is, whatever you're into. Maybe there's just a lot more focus on that with Venus in the 11th. Venus in the 11th is great for friends, but Venus doesn't do the greatest in Aries. So that's the only thing where I'm like, just be a little bit cautious. And then also, too, because on the 7th and the 8th, on the 7th, Venus is going to conjunct Neptune. And then on the 8th, Venus is going to conjunct Saturn. And actually, on the 8th, when Venus forms a conjunction to Neptune, we have our Mercury cazimi. So the end of the first week of March, there could be something showing up around friendships that's a little bit confusing because of that Venus conjunction to Neptune and also Mercury retrograde. But there's like an epiphany, there's sudden insight coming in with that Mercury cazimi. So again, pay attention to your intuitive downloads, important conversations, or even hearing of opportunities. This could be too when you hear of like an amazing opportunity at work and but it just doesn't yet click, or it doesn't, there's no implementation of it yet, like you're still having to sit with it, whether it's that you have to think about the direction you want to take, or that maybe you're waiting for a decision to be made, something along those lines. Then once we get to the second week of March, which this chart that I selected here for the second week is March 13th. On the 9th, we have Mercury retrograde forming a trine to Jupiter retrograde. Now, the first time we had Mercury retrograde trine Jupiter was February 16th, and this is when Mercury was pre-shadow, but not retrograde yet. So, what showed up around February 16th, that can give you an idea of what could be showing up again on March 9th. So just keep that in mind. On the 10th, we have Jupiter stationing direct. Yay, we're finally going to start to feel the Jupiter energy again. And Venus forming a sextile to Pluto. So this could be, whatever it is you're currently navigating around friendships, creative pursuits, creative projects, social groups, social media. There could be, this is opportunity for transformation. This is opportunity for exposure. Um, and so, yeah, just a day to just not necessarily be mindful, but know that there's the energy there to work with or that's influencing. Also on the 13th, we've got Mars forming in conjunction to the North Node. This is where we're really going to feel the fire under our ass to get moving with something. However, it's not the time to do it. So Mars forming it, but also too, like Mars is in Pisces, which Pisces kind of dims Mars impulsivity down a little bit. Mars tends to be, this could be a lot of like internal fire, internal desire to move forward with something, find something new, break free from something. Like there's this internal drive to start implementing something new. But with the Mercury retrograde, it's not the right time yet. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm actually curious as to what this is going to bring on this day. This is the 13th too, just so you are aware of. Um, yeah, this can also to whatever you've been navigating the last year around your career. This could be where there's something severed, something is you're done with something, or you're moving forward with something, or there's a decision made too with that. Um, but again, because it's Mercury retrograde, I don't recommend like starting anything new. Like, I don't recommend you taking action, but let's say you've applied for a job and this is where you get the interview. Like, yeah, take the interview. Don't not go to the interview. But this isn't a time to like, let's say, like launch something unless you're natally Mercury retrograde. And then on the 15th, we have Mercury retrograde forming a conjunction to Mars. So, yeah, that whole end of week two, those last few days of the second week, there's Mercury retrograde just brings in a lot of confusion, there's lack of clarity, lack of understandings, a lot of misunderstandings. And so this all has to do with your career and your public reputation. So whatever you've already been navigating, whatever you've already been in up until this point, there's something else showing up around that. And again, I always have to be so vague with these general horoscopes because I don't have your chart in front of me. And that's why I always say, whatever you're navigating, because you know what you're going through in your own life for whoever's watching this. And you're going to know, okay, if I've been dealing with this up until this point, it's probably going to have to do with that. That's why I word things like that, because it's the best way to say, this is what it's probably going to be. If you've already been navigating something around your career, and yeah, then you're going to know, like, this is where, I'm either going to have a misunderstanding with something, or I'm not going to see something clearly, or something's going to happen that's going to be a little bit confusing, something along those lines. Okay, so now we get to week 3, and on the 17th, we've got Mercury retrograde forming a conjunction to the North Node. And so Mercury is going to form a conjunction to the North Node, and then just a couple days after that, station right on top of the North Node. So again, whatever you're navigating around your career, public reputation, there's more kind of coming in. Once we get to, yeah, like the middle of March, there's a lot more around your career and this Mercury retrograde, like whatever you've been sitting with, whatever you've been rethinking. Um, yeah, there's a lot more. When we have this North Node, though, again, please journal the entire month of February, or sorry, March, the entire month of March. Please journal, because this is a month, because of Mercury retrograde in Pisces. This is so high, like influential for intuitive downloads, premonitions, epiphanies. This is a time to, yeah, just jot down anything that kind of comes to you. It may seem insignificant in the moment, but it can really kind of make sense down the road. And the chart also too that I selected for this week is March 18th. Now, once we get to the 18th, we've got the new moon in Pisces at 28 degrees. So there's going to be a new moon here up in your 10th house of career and public reputation. Now, this is not going to be an eclipse, but this is going to still feel like an eclipse because we've got the North Node still in Pisces. And this is still going to bring in, new changes to this area of life with whatever it is you've been navigating over the last year. I will post a separate forecast going much deeper into that energy. But that eclipse, or sorry, not the eclipse, that new moon in Pisces is going to be sextile Uranus, which is bringing in this possibility for breakthroughs. Again, Uranus in your 12th house. This could be like, yeah, really powerful internal breakthroughs, really powerful epiphanies. Um, and whatever it is you've wanted to kind of move towards around your career, public reputation, this is where it can start to um, fall into place. Now, also on that day, we've got Venus squaring Jupiter. And so sometimes with Venus squaring Jupiter, this brings in too much of a good thing, too much of a bad thing. Venus rules your 12th house and also your 5th house. So your 12th house of spirituality, things, people, places that are hidden, hospitals, asylums, retreat centers, also the subconscious, the house of karma. Venus is in that 11th house of friendships and social groups. This could be, and also because Venus rules like that 5th house of like what you do for fun, what lights you up. Like, yes, children, creativity, passion, romance, hobbies, interests is also in that 5th house, but also like anything you do that you find joy in. This can be negative or positive. Like maybe you gamble, maybe you drink too much, maybe you do drugs, like whatever the case is, right? It's yes, 12th and 8th, but also 5th, because 5th house is what you enjoy doing. This is like doing too much of that with friends, right? And so just be cautious. I don't know the age group that necessarily watches this, but I mean, I guess it's in all ages, right? But this is just a day to be careful. Don't, this is over indulgent energy, right? Especially with Venus and Mars. Venus and Mars is very impulsive, very impatient, very like, let's do it right now. Yeah, okay, let's have fun. Um, but yeah, so just please be mindful. And again, this is around the 18th of March. Then once we get to the 20th, the sun is going to enter Aries. So we're going to start to bring more focus into that 11th house of friendships and social groups. And Mercury is going to station direct at 8 degrees of Pisces. This is where something is going to click. When we have Mercury station direct, especially on the North Node, this is yes, sudden insight, sudden epiphany, sudden clarity. Definitely a day to pay attention to what is showing up for you intuitively, your downloads, your thoughts, all of the above. This is a day to, yeah, just be have that awareness. On the 21st, Mars is going to form a trine to Jupiter. So Mars up here in Pisces is going to trine Jupiter here. And so, yeah, maybe this is now when you are finally wanting to take action with something. And again, because that Mercury trying to Jupiter, maybe this is where you were hearing of an opportunity or a job placement or, whatever. Mars forming the trine to Jupiter, this is where it clicks. This is where now you start that position or you get that okay, you got the job, and it's more money, which would play out to that Jupiter in the second house. So I do like that. Even though Mars doesn't do the greatest in Pisces, I feel like still, and it's a trine, so it's a very easy flowing energy. I feel like still it can play out as like now there's action being taken in the career sector in a very positive way that could be very um, financially uh, positive. You know what I mean? I can't think of the words. It's the Mercury retrograde. Sorry. And then we've got on the 22nd, the sun forming a conjunction to Neptune. And so at this point, the sun's going to be in your 11th house of friendships and social groups, forming a conjunction to Neptune. So if there is anything going on around friends at this time, there could be, confusion, deception, seeing things with rose-colored glasses. So we just want to be cautious of that. But this is where maybe you're, spending a lot more time online, social media. Maybe you are wanting to also too, this could have to do with starting an online business. And I'm sure for some of you, maybe that is a thing. And this is where things start to kind of fall into place once we get to the end of the month, when we have all that energy in the 11th and then Mercury stations and all of that. If that is something that you are moving towards, there's definitely some positive energy, but there could just be some confusion around certain things that you just want to be a little bit mindful of. And then we get to the week 4, and the chart that I selected for week 4 is March 28th. And on the 25th, we've got the sun forming a conjunction to Saturn um, right here. And Saturn, yes, can bring limitation, restriction, hardship, but also commitment. So this is where something really solid could be formed, or where there's like a stop, a block, or a hold to something. So just to be a bit mindful. And then the sun's also going to form a sextile to Pluto. And then on the 28th, Saturn is going to form a sextile to Pluto, which is interesting. So this could bring in this opportunity for transformation or really getting to the bottom of something. And then on the 30th, Venus is going to enter Taurus. And then the energy starts to shift into your 12th house, which is the house of spirituality and karma and things, people, places that are hidden. Um, so, yeah, I hope that this helps you, Gemini, navigate the energy for the month ahead. And hopefully, this gives you a bit of a idea of what we are navigating for this month. This is kind of a bit of an intense month, like so was February. And we're still somewhat in that energy as we come into the month. But hopefully, this gives you an idea of how to navigate it, right? How to work with the energies. And so, if you align with my energy and enjoy my content, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I will connect with you in the next one.